In fact, David Tepper wrote in a little bit ago, and he has a couple of questions for you. Obviously, David Tepper, the hedge fund manager, he says, first of all, what does Buffett think about transparency of compensation plans, particularly in regard to how companies make capital allocation decisions? And then he wrote me another email that says, and how does capital allocation relate to how much cash is on the balance sheet?
Well, that's a pretty broad question. Transparency of compensation relative to capital allocation. The compensation figures that we publish are the ones that are required by the SEC, and I think it's a terrible mistake. Just like in your business, I mean, if everybody knew how much each anchor got paid, believe me, it would tend to escalate payments. I mean, and is that good for the shareholders or not? So I think publishing everybody's earnings would be it would be anti-shareholder in the end. It would satisfy a lot of curiosity, and a lot of people would get very envious of those around them. And I saw at Salomon when I ran it how envious people could get of others' compensation. But I don't see how it relates to capital allocation exactly. I don't get that part of the question.
All right, maybe David will write in if he's got any additional thoughts on that. In the meantime, I also want to tell you, Harry Wilson wrote in, and we were talking about GM earlier. Harry Wilson has been proposed by a group of activist investors as a potential addition to the board of General Motors. We had some comments about it. He wrote in just to clarify some things, and I do want to give him a say. It's a long letter. I won't read it all, but he does say that the underlying rationale of his candidacy is to do exactly what you said, to help General Motors build for the long-term strengths it needs to become a world-class company and thrive for many years to come. He points out he's been a shareholder since 2011. And as he said, he expects to be a shareholder for many years to come. As he said to the company, he's perfectly willing to take all of my compensation in stock and have it locked up for an extended period of time. This is not by any means a 2-year deal.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'm wrong, but my understanding was he was getting the profit on 4% of roughly 30 million shares owned by 3 hedge funds. So that's a 1.2 million share position where the money that was made in the next 2 years counted and nothing afterwards. So I don't know the size of these other positions compared to that 1.2 million or whatever it may be that he has an option on. I don't think it's wise to it's wise to compensate any director, based on what happens in the next 2 years, and have them overwhelmingly focused on that, which may or may not be the case. If Harry has a ton of stock himself that he's going to put away for a long period of time, that's one thing.
I don't know the answer on that either. But he does also write in right now and say that he does agree with you on Mary Barra, that he supports her as well. He's a big supporter of her and thinks she's doing a good job.
I think he's dead right. I think he's dead right. It's not easy running General Motors, and walking in now in the last year, a whole lot of things on her plate. I mean, it's a worldwide organization, and I believe in giving somebody like that a lot of slack. We do it with our own managers.
I'll also point out, emails are coming in fast and furious. David Faber just writing in and saying you are exactly right. At 4% of 31 million shares at 2 and 3 years is what he's talking about with that. Warren, if you had one message that you wanted to get out to people, obviously this is 50 years for Berkshire Hathaway. Looking back, reflecting, you had a very long letter. Anybody who hasn't read it yet, I would suggest they go and do that. There's a lot of good information in it. One quick message you had for anybody?
If you're a 20 or 30-year-old and you can invest for your next 50 years, and you just consistently buy American business is going to do wonderful over that time, and I think you'll do wonderful as a shareholder. But you have to do it consistently, and you shouldn't try and dance in and out or pick this stock or that stock. Just own the country. The best days of America lie ahead, and the best days of American investors lie ahead as long as they don't beat themselves.